Imagine being a teenager sitting in a hot auditorium in 1970, listening to presenters talk about a brand new high school experience that will soon be available to you and your classmates. You hear words like air conditioning, open campus, student center, and the opportunity to be a part of the nation's first magnet school. The very term magnet school was still an unknown phrase 40 years ago, but these were the words that Dallas ISD students heard in this very auditorium. And as you can imagine, there was an excitement and awe in the air as these students and many just like them across the school district would embark on a new venture that would change high school education in Dallas forever.
A very innovative program that offered programs that had never been offered in the Dallas Independent School District and in very few places in the whole United States.
Why was Skyline needed? During Skyline's planning phase, the idea was for a school that would house 3 different but cohesive components: a typical high school, a career development center, and an evening school adult training program. From its inception, Skyline had its share of critics. When Superintendent W.T. White led a push to create this hugely innovative school, many critics felt that the school was unneeded and predicted that it would be unsuccessful. It was dubbed the White Elephant because they felt it was creating more trouble than it was worth. However, Skyline proved to be a model school program that's been admired throughout the nation for its ambition.
And there were so many different trades that we had there that a youngster could get a great education and go out in the world and make himself a tradesman, or he could go as an educational system, either one. Go on to college and work through the college system, or he could go in and go through the trade systems and do electricians, plumbers, heating and air conditioning. Opportunities unlimited.
What's in a name? When the administrators were touring the new facility with the architect, they were admiring the view of downtown Dallas from the 3rd floor. A school administrator, Bill Stamps, commented that Skyline would be a great name for the school. When this suggestion was presented to the board and the superintendent at the time, Dr. Nolan Estes, they adopted Skyline Center as the official name for the building, while the high school component became Skyline High School. Under construction. As the spring of 1970 drew to an end, it became obvious the school would not be completed in time for the beginning of the school year. The administration considered moving the opening date to the fall of 1971, but there was an uproar from students and parents who insisted that the students be allowed to begin school as planned.
As the building was going up, we were all anticipating a beautiful building, which was on an 80-acre campus, about 650,000 feet of space. It cost, at that time, a large sum of money of $20 million.
As a result, temporary locations were secured in time for the fall of 1970. Because of these delays, the first incoming class of students began to refer to Skyline as the Promised Land. The first school year. During Skyline's first year of operation, juniors held classes in Mercantile Park, an office building located off St. Francis Avenue in Pleasant Grove. Partitions were put in place to separate classrooms and students could leave campus for lunch. Incoming sophomores attended class at Buckner Children's Home, just a few blocks from where Skyline Center stands.
It took a lot of effort to coordinate all of those. With as many students we had, with as many backgrounds as there was, it took a while to do, and I'm glad to have been a part of that experiment and see that it worked.
With diversity of students and the cramped spacing in classrooms, students attending these temporary satellite schools bonded and developed long-lasting relationships from the experience.
We got to know our teachers a lot more than probably you would on a normal basis because we were so tight and close, ate lunch together, we were all in one little space. We really became tight because of that early experience.
Skyline Center finally opened on March the 2nd, 1971. A parade that winded down the streets of Pleasant Grove led students to the shiny new building, the Promised Land. Excitement and anticipation was in the air. As students surrounded the front of the building, the opening day ceremonies began.
Well, you know, it was very exciting because going in and everything being new and different, we had a student union and that was unheard of, but just everything being brand new was just fantastic.
The dream had finally come true for approximately 800 students flooding into their new school home, experiencing for the first time a school that would soon be the model for all Dallas Magnet schools to come.
Learning to get all around the school because it was so big. You know, we had maps to get around to the next class, try to hurry up as much as we could because we had 5 minutes to get from each class.
Not only did Skyline house full-time students, but it would also be open to part-time students who would attend regular courses at their home schools and come to Skyline Center for their career development. This method of attending magnet school career classes was a revolutionary new idea at the time and would serve as inspiration for later magnet school programs. During its inaugural period, Skyline Center students had a choice of over 27 vocational clusters.
It was a tremendous educational facility for youngsters in this area. It was a showcase for all these different districts in and around the Dallas area that came in and visited what the programs that we had there at Skyline. It was a very unique situation that the educational system put in at that time.
Skyline, after it finally got all the facilities completed, began to be a well-known school, and we had visitors from all 50 states and over 43 countries that came to visit us.
Desegregation.
During the summer of 1971, the Dallas ISD received a court order requiring the desegregation of the entire school system, meaning massive changes were afoot. The order itself came in an untimely manner and ultimately delayed the start of the school year for several weeks into September in order for the many changes to be initiated by the administration.
During this process, Crozier Tech High School, Madison High School, and Lincoln High School were closed by court order. Many of the students from these schools were reassigned to other area high schools. Skyline received students from each of the 3 high schools. The start of the second school year saw an enrollment of over 3,000 students, a record-setting number for the Dallas ISD High School at the time. There were many bumps in the road as the desegregation process took place, but the majority of the students wanted only the best for Skyline, a school still in its infancy. A proactive group known as Salt, Pepper, and Cinnamon formed within the halls to advocate for positive relations among all races. The student-led organization developed into a substantial force, so that even the Dallas ISD School Board recognized the group for their leadership in a praise-filled proclamation.
Whereas, they met with leaders of different factions and sought out the defiant and militant to discuss problems and were able to channel hostilities into rap sessions rather than physical confrontation. And whereas, the administrators at Skyline High School credit these students with being the main instrument in averting a serious situation.
Creating tradition.
Through it all, the first graduating class of 1972 preserved and had the honor of developing several of Skyline's traditions that still exist today.
You take some ownership in that school, because how you build that foundation means how the bricks are laid, how the building goes up. And I think we all had a lot of pride in what the ISD at that time had envisioned for Skyline to become. And we all wanted it to be everything that it could be and everything we wanted it to be. And I think as a class, we left our fingerprints on it.
The future. Throughout its history, Skyline has impacted thousands of lives, offering students a unique educational experience that revolutionized the Dallas Independent School District. Students, teachers, and staff who weathered this white elephant through difficult and uncertain times can take pride in knowing that Skyline continues to be the promised land. And a promised land for students as well who are looking to take the responsibility for the future through a diverse style of education.
With an alumni of over 30,000 graduates, new technologies have allowed for these children of Skyline to stay in contact with one another and with the school they call home. Every graduating class and individual cluster continue to have their own reunions where alumni can connect and network.
Just very important for all of the students to have something that they can cling to and be a part of after they graduate. They have some great memories and want to continue those memories with functions after they graduate.
This vast building continues to grow as well. As part of the 2008 Dallas ISD Bond Program, Skyline will receive a new competition gymnasium of approximately 31,000 square feet with a seating capacity of 2,000, associated locker rooms, and a weight room. The gym will be named after longtime basketball coach J.D. Mayo. The cafeteria will also be expanded to approximately 11,000 square feet and increase the seating capacity from 490 to 1,079. Skyline will receive many other renovations to improve the campus environment. It's all expected to be completed by the spring of 2011.
I was introduced to different cultures. I was introduced to hard work, consistency. I was introduced to a lot of strong characters in those teachers. I was introduced to people who were different, but were okay because of their differences. They just were different.
Many times, young people coming into Skyline, you know, they're young teenagers, and they don't realize one of the greatest track stars in the world was Michael Johnson, 1986 Skyline graduate. We've just had a lot of success stories that these youngsters can draw strength from.
Skyline High School is a place that really fosters learning and imagination, and really encourages people to kind of stretch out and do some things that are maybe not considered mainstream.
The camaraderie and the friendships I made, it makes me smile. I still keep in contact with a lot of my friends, and I cherish them very much.
I went to The Ohio State University, which has 58,000, but because Skyline was so big, and to me it was kind of like a little junior college, that by the time I got to college, I wasn't intimidated by its size, I wasn't intimidated by the classrooms, and I had learned at Skyline to take advantage of everything a big school has to offer.
The faculty and the administration was so passionate about this new concept of the clusters and the applied talents and how we could study. There just seemed to be a spirit of total passion and commitment to that idea, and it was played out in students like me.
More than just a high school. You know, it was a high school, it was a trade school, it had vocational aspects, it had areas that you could explore besides just math, English, and science.
You know, you drove around the campus and you see airplanes, and like, it doesn't seem like a high school, more like a college. You know, I just couldn't wait to get there, and had a lot of great friends. And to me, back then, you know, just the student body, you know, the diverse people, cultures, races, we all got along, and it was just a lot of fun.
The learning and academics here is just unbelievable. It gets you prepared for, of course, the college life. So one of the main things that I love about Skyline that I recommend to anyone who watches this video is that Skyline is one of the best schools in DISD here.
Generation of Skyline students have gone on to be successful, productive adults. It's a true testament of how amazing and unique the magnet concept has become, and how important it is to the Dallas ISD as well as to the city of Dallas. Happy 40th, Skyline!